Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media. The older man slowly walked around the edge of the forest as the fog hid the treetops. His shovel helped him shape the hillside as his boots slipped through the dew-covered grass. The smell of sulfur wafted toward him from the hot springs, being enjoyed by visitors. As he reclined against a boulder, he reflected on how long he'd worked there, maintaining the property. Resting to catch his breath, the maintenance worker's peace was broken by a loud huffing sound, coming toward him as the brush shook violently. The maintenance worker inhaled a surprised gasp as he watched a bear explode from the brush, mouth open and claws ready to kill. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Northern Japan is a place where wilderness still presses close to civilization, and it gets closer every day. The forests of Iwate, Akita, and Hokkaido are thick and grown with Japanese red pine, beech, and oak. Beneath their branches grow stands of bamboo grass and fields of hardy shrubs that hide the secrets and dangers of the forest. Deer graze on the slopes, wild boar root through the soil, and raccoon dogs search for rodents to eat. It is here among the cedar groves and mountain streams that the Asiatic black bear, called Tsukanaka waguma, for the moon-shaped patch on its chest, makes its home. Normally, bears and humans in Japan coexist with wary distance, but over the past 2 years, that fragile balance has been breaking. Since early 2024, the number of encounters has climbed sharply. By the autumn of 2025, Japan recorded the highest number of bear attacks in its modern history. From the rice fields of Akita to the supermarkets of Gunma, bears have been appearing where no one expected to see them. The last time Japan saw this kind of fear was more than a century ago, when the Sekibetsu brown bear incident of 1915 left 7 villagers dead in Hokkaido. We've discussed this incident in an episode, and I've pasted the link in the video article below if you'd like to review the information. For decades afterward, bear encounters were rare, almost unheard of outside remote mountain towns, but the last 2 years have rewritten that record. The change began quietly in 2024, as unusually warm winters shortened the bear's hibernation. Mast failures, the years when oak and beech trees produced fewer acorns, starved the animals as they awoke hungrily from their dens. In Iwate and Akita, farmers began finding claw marks on silos and bear scat near their fields. The Ministry of the Environment logged more nuisance reports than ever before, and by the end of that year, 3 people were dead and dozens were injured. In the early spring of 2025, the attacks began again, this time spreading wider. A man was mauled while tending his vegetable garden in Akita Prefecture. In June, hikers in Aomori stumbled into a sow with cubs and barely escaped alive. By midsummer, a 26-year-old climber was dragged off a trail on Mount Rasu in Hokkaido by a brown bear, his body found days later. As the months wore on, bears grew bolder. They entered towns, raided garbage bins, and crossed into city parks. In the small city of Numata, one even burst through the automatic doors of a supermarket, sending dozens of shoppers fleeing down the aisles before mauling 2 men near the register. Just 3 days later, in a nearby forest in Iwate, a missing hiker was found dead and half buried in the soil, a bear's attempt to cash its kill. The string of encounters stretched on, causing terror across the country. Katsumi Sasazaki had lived much of his life under bright lights and roaring crowds. As a professional wrestling referee, he'd seen his share of drama, crowd chants, ringside chaos, the careful choreography of heroes and heels. But retirement had brought him a quieter rhythm. At 60, he divided his time between his family and his part-time job, maintaining outdoor baths at a small riverside inn in Kitakami. It was a peaceful routine, and he took pride in it. On the morning of October 16, 2025, he packed his tools and left for work before sunrise. The mist was heavy along the river, and the forest beyond the inn was damp and silent. He likely noticed nothing unusual, just the hush of the woods and the sound of running water. After a few hours of work, Sasazaki approached one of the boulders near the forest of the property. Having exerted himself, he decided he would rest momentarily as he leaned on the boulder and his shovel. His mind slipped into relaxation mode, but returned with the sound of an unusual noise. Glancing toward the brush, he could hear a repeated grunting noise as the brush parted and whipped violently. Now standing completely upright, Sasazaki likely attempted to use his shovel to strike the bear before it closed in on him. Later in the day, Sasazaki's family awaited his return. He enjoyed his work, but was predictable in his routine. He was rarely late, but after a few hours, it was clear he wasn't going to show up at all. His wife reached out to the police, who gathered an investigation team. When searchers arrived the next morning, they found traces of a struggle, the prints of a large bear, the flattened reeds, the deep marks in the earth where Sasazaki had fallen. His remains were discovered a short distance from the path, and nearby lay tufts of black fur caught in the brush. Wildlife officials set traps immediately and later captured an adult male Asiatic black bear in the area. DNA testing confirmed the worst. The bear had not been starving. It was in good health and carried no signs of injury, suggesting the attack was not defensive but opportunistic. Experts speculated that the animal had grown accustomed to human scent, possibly from scavenging nearby garbage or farmland, and had lost its fear. For Sasazaki's family, that detail was little comfort. The tragedy sent a ripple through Japan's wrestling community, where tributes poured in for a man described as kind, quiet, and unshakable in his dedication to the sport. Sasazaki's death was not an isolated tragedy. It was part of a pattern that had been building for nearly 2 years. In the autumn of 2024, a farmer in Akita was killed while harvesting persimmons behind his house. In the same season, a woman in Nagano was attacked while foraging for mountain vegetables, and another hiker in Toyama was mauled when she stumbled across a feeding bear near a stream. By early 2025, the attacks were coming faster than wildlife officers could respond. Across Japan, rural police posts began fielding calls from frightened residents who heard bears rummaging through sheds and garbage bins. Government workers patrolled neighborhoods with bullhorns, shouting warnings, while municipalities installed motion-activated lights and loudspeakers that blared recordings of barking dogs. In one case, a small town in Akita began firing fireworks each night to keep the animals away. Nothing seemed to help. By October of 2025, Japan's bear toll had climbed to 7 dead and over 100 injured, the highest in the nation's history. It wasn't just happening in the wilderness anymore. Bears were showing up in playgrounds, rice fields, and even parking lots. And as winter approached, biologists warned that the acorn failure of the year meant that many bears would enter hibernation weak, likely to emerge even more desperate in spring. The bear that killed Katsumi Sasazaki was euthanized by wildlife control officers near the Kitagawa River the day after his body was found. It was a healthy male, weighing roughly 150 kilograms, or about 330 pounds, with no cubs and no sign of injury. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to episodes, photos, and notes. And the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. Officials concluded that it had likely attacked without provocation, possibly emboldened by prior foraging success near human settlements. The broader problem, however, remains far from solved. Japan's forests are changing under pressure from demographic shifts. Warmer winters have shortened hibernation cycles. Forest food sources like beechnuts and acorns have declined. Rural depopulation has left large areas unmanaged, allowing forests to reclaim abandoned farmland and pushing bears closer to surviving human communities. Experts now warn that the combination of climate instability and food scarcity may create a new normal of annual bear conflicts unless management policies evolve quickly. Japan is home to two species of bears, the Asiatic black bear of Honshu and Shikoku, and the brown bear of Hokkaido. Together, their combined population is estimated between 25 and 35,000 animals, spread across nearly 120,000 square kilometers of habitat. That amounts to roughly one bear for every 5 square kilometers, or 3.2 miles of prime terrain. In 2025, government records list more than 3,000 bear sightings, 100 injuries, and at least 7 confirmed fatalities. The previous year's numbers were only slightly lower, marking a steep and steady upward trend. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. Is variation in climate affecting the amount of time bears are hibernating, leading to an increase in attacks? Can rural Japan, hollowed by depopulation, maintain enough human presence to deter wildlife encroachment? Would a targeted bear hunt reduce populations enough to reduce attacks and food stress on bears? I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it. Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.